My friends, Simon from WhatCulture here, and your first question is probably going to be, Simon, why are you surrounded by Thunder Rosa paraphernalia? Which is a perfectly understandable and reasonable question. And here's the thing, right now I am out in Texas with Thunder Rosa, ready to have my second match with her and her Mission Pro Wrestling Federation promotion company industry thing, whatever you want to call it. But of course, the ups and downs don't stop. It's very surreal for you and for me. We're in Thunder Rosa's office and we're about to take the finger of power and give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. SmackDown this week kicked off with the Usos defending their unified tag team championships for the second time in a week, and much like they had done on Raw, they were kind of defending them against a random team. What is going on? Thing is though, it wasn't a random team at all, but because it was meant to be Drew McIntyre and Sheamus taking on Jimmy and Jey Uso, everyone kept going, oh well now it's going to be Butch teaming with Sheamus. And I was like, yes, we know this, Butch and Sheamus team all the time. I had a look, I did my research, and I do believe they're in a faction called the Brawling Brutes, whose catchphrase is, it's fight night. Ridiculous. It is also a little bit strange because the Usos haven't defended their championships in ages, and now they're just doing it all the time, but much like they did do a few days ago, this absolutely rocked and has me totally invested about what could happen next. It was proper back and forth stuff to begin with until Butch got hung up on the top rope. And then every time he tried to make a tag, he wasn't able to, mostly because the Usos would sneak round to the other corner and they would pull Sheamus off onto the floor. And once again, when you do look into this, if you are not standing on the ring apron, which I do believe is the hardest part of the ring, you're not allowed to make a tag. Butch eventually came up with the best plan. He was like, why don't I head out west and hit this person with a German suplex Vigate as Bahnhof. That allowed Sheamus to get in there. And I do believe it's called the hot tag, and I do believe he went absolutely wild. Although, here's what he did, as all people did when they do the hot tags. He did this magical slap. Butch was on the floor going, oh my gosh, I've just been beaten up for ages. All of a sudden, Sheamus was like, actually, I'm going to tag you back in now. I hope you're ready. So his HP was magically restored, and they both hit the beats of the boundary, or whatever the hell that thing's called. I get it wrong every single time. Although Butch went absolutely crazy here, and he just wouldn't stop when the Usos got back in there, and it was just move, reversal, finisher, 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 finisher. You should go watch this. We also got an avalanche white noise, and yes, Jimmy went into the ring apron at one point, but look, I'm out here in Texas at the moment. There is no way that I am able to do a skit. Also, you got one on Monday, Tuesday, and you got one on Thursday. Why don't you go rewatch it? Thank you. There was this great near fall though, where it looked like the Usos were about to hit the 1D, but Sheamus made the save, and then Butch hit this running power bomb. And honestly, the ref went 1-2, and I said, are they going to do it? And they didn't. And then they did this razor's edge neck breaker combo thingamajig that could only have had one outcome: breaking somebody's neck. This is when the Sami Zayn effect came into play, because he started casting distraction when Ridge Holland decided, no, I don't like that, so he was getting involved. Jimmy then hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment for another great near fall, when Solo Sikoa realized, oh yeah, I'm a crazy fool, and he just went and beat everybody up. So he's spinning Solo the soul out of Ridge Holland, when all of a sudden Sami Zayn was stopping Sheamus from getting back in the ring, which when the Usos hit the 1D onto Butch, they got the 1-2-3, they had done it, Mr. Burns had won it, and once again, you just got to give him a round of applause. The Usos were put in the #1 position in the PWO tag team list a few days ago, and some people thought they would argue that. I am not one of those individuals. I think they're great. Up. Kurt Angle was then just hanging out backstage with Gable Steveson. Like, this was a perfectly normal thing to happen. Braun Strowman was there to welcome them, and this is when it became one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my damn life, because it was like one of those rubbish cutscenes from a WWE video game. He just walked up and was all like, hey Gable, I heard you're training in the Performance Center, and one day you may be on SmackDown. Well, I'll give you these hands. And honestly, I hate the fact I'm not at home right now, because I absolutely would have done Nobody Talks Like That. Stevenson then responded by saying that he would be ready. It was utter nonsense. It was utterly ridiculous. No human beings have ever interacted in the way they did interact. But that's why I need more of this all the time. The random madness then continued because we were told that John Cena is returning to the show on the 30th of December, so you have to imagine that is to set up a WrestleMania program. When out came LA Knight, He wasn't happy. Because La has become a detective now and realised every time he does get attacked backstage, there's one of Bray Wyatt's stupid puppets or there's somebody in a mask. So it stands to reason that even though Wyatt is saying he's not committing these crimes, he definitely is. An Uncle Howdy video then played and it was as spooky wooky as ever. Once again, I was like, who played that video? If you're trying to prove that you're not responsible for these things, don't play some incriminating footage, because even I, a stupid fan, sat here and went, yep, Bray Wyatt's definitely doing it. We shall get back to this later though, but the headlines, at least from my point of view, is that this is still very intriguing. I love the fact that WWE put them together to begin with. Tegan Morant was then trying to talk to Legado del Fantasma about the Viking Raiders, but I think the main point of this bit was in the background, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler were just beating up Shotzi, and as we would learn later, they broke her hand. I suppose their goal is to just go through the women's division and smash as many bones as possible. It turned out this was shot back in 1772 though, and then we were back in 2022 live in living colour, where Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler were getting all mad again, when up walked Liv Morgan and up walked Tegan Knox and said, later on, we want to take you in a match. And I audibly said out loud, well, that's not going to go well. You ain't going to believe it. And then the Viking Raiders beat Legado del Fantasma in 2 minutes via DQ. Down. I just don't get any of this because I don't really understand what the story is, and these segments every single week are so damn short you can't make heads or tails of it. But basically, they had a little bit of the match, the Viking Raiders were kicking ass, when out came Hit Row, B-Fab cast the distraction, and that meant that behind them there was the rest of Hit Row, and they just beat everybody up. The ref went, well, you're not allowed to do that, at least not on this evening, and it's a disqualification. B-Fab took out Sarah, Valhalla, Logan too, and I suppose we're going to do a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble or something. But I ask you this, dear watcher, why? Why are we doing it? Why do they hate each other? No idea, hence the down. LA Knight was then back searching around backstage where he found a Bray Wyatt t-shirt. This was meant to be like some sort of incredible revelation. I was a bit like, Knight, you backstage at a wrestling show, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of merchandise. At that same time though, somebody in a mask appeared from behind LA. So do you know what we did? We cut to commercial. Imagine if wrestling was real and the police turned up. Excuse me, Mr. Director. So when you saw that somebody may be about to be killed, what was your decision? As I just turned off the cameras. I just turned off the cameras and I went to an advert. And I know I'm being an idiot with this, but I tell you, the whole suspiciousness of it means we can head off in multiple directions. And there's just something about it I am truly digging. Again, maybe I'm a fool, but I've been told this for many years. Give it enough. We then saw that Kurt Angle was having a massive party backstage for his birthday, and who walked in with a birthday card? Get rid of that tear. None other than Jason Jordan. That story was so dumb because especially it means within kayfabe we have to pretend they are father and son. But when you remember what Jordan has been through and all his terrible neck issues, I don't know, man, maybe I'm just becoming old and I'm becoming a sap, but I thought this was really quite nice and it made me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, to the point, even though it doesn't deserve it, I am giving it an up. When we got a contract signing. Because of course we did. It was between Ricochet and Gunther, who was also out there with Imperium, because of course Rick is now the new #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, so we have to write stuff down on a piece of paper and make it official. You're now saying, well, how do all the other matches get sorted out? Don't worry about it. From nowhere, the New Day came out though, but as always, they are just wonderful wall breakers, because they're all like, look, we've watched wrestling before. Every time there's a contract signing, it always ends in a massive broil, so we're here to balance the books, to balance the numbers. This is when Adam Pearce was like, well, I don't think it's every single contract signing. When Xavier took the mic and said, do you even watch this damn show? I love it. Naturally, they started yelling at each other when all of a sudden a massive fight did break out, and I was like, I can't believe it, with the good guys standing tall when they all did simultaneous dives, 2022 wrestling. And then WWE did their favorite booking. They went straight into the 6-man tag, but I tell you this, when you take all of it and you put it in a pot, it was a lovely pot and it made you want to eat it. Give it enough. Because the match was just so damn good. I mean, it was hard hitting, it was fast, and the finishing sequence actually made me once again sit here and go, well, this Ricochet feels like a completely new person, because clearly Triple H is a massive fan. Ludwig Kaiser was getting beaten up until Giovanni Vinci got back into it when Xavier Woods decided he was going to try and turn the tide, when he got smashed by this tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. And as we always say, and as I'll tell you again, I think he was trying to break his back. Imperium just went to town on Xavier after this as well, and Gunther made sure he booted Rick right in the face so he wasn't able to get involved. But you can already figure out what did happen. Instead, the hot tag went to Kofi. He murked everyone and hit this wonderful crossbody, and just as he was about to hit the Trouble in Paradise and Maney win, Ludwig Kaiser was back. He smacked him in the face. This also allowed Giovanni Vinci to hit this uppercut that was so stiff, somewhere Claudio Castagnoli and Sagat will probably go, he did a good job, when we also grabbed Kingston and we threw him into Alan the announce table. It soon led to Gunther versus Ricochet, and I tell you, if the whole point of this, if the job was this, was to get me excited about what they could do next week when they meet for the Intercontinental title, it did a great job, especially when Ricky did this flippy-dippy-doo-dah move and just avoided a strike from Gunther as if he didn't have any bones in his body. Imperium then wanted the Imperium bomb, but Kingston was able to stop that when poor Ludwig got his ass handed to him because Ricochet hit him with a Hurricane Rana, then Kofi Kingston smashed him with the Trouble in Paradise, and by that point Rick had gone back to the top rope. He hit the 630, 1, 2, 3, so it ties in to everything I just said. He is rocking and rolling right now, and he is on a tear, and even though he did get the victory here, if somebody made the call to have him beat Gunther, I wouldn't care about it at all. Up. The Alpha Academy were then really mad because they weren't allowed to go into Kurt Angle's party, especially because the Street Profits just walked in. They were like, well, what the flub is going on with this? When we were backstage with the Bloodline, who were very happy about defending their tag titles. Everyone was feeling Uzi apart from Solo Sikoa, who just sat there as if he had no emotion in his body. And when Jay and Sammy were able to have a conversation, Uso said to Zayn, hey, maybe next week you want to trim your beard and trim your hair because Roman Reigns is back. You've got to look good for the tribal chief. What you really want to know, though, is that there was a big hint there and there was a promise that a surprise is coming. So prepare your hearts for this, ladies and gentlemen, because the sad times could be nigh. Karrion Kross and Scarlett then also went and found Rey Mysterio's in the trainer room, where they basically said something along the lines of, you're an animal and we put animals down, so you better be ready. I mean, the whole point is they're going to try and retire Rey for good, but this story is a little bit freaky-deaky because it basically goes tarot cards and people being bad veterinarians. So, I don't know where it's going to go. Really, Rey Mysterio should beat Karrion Kross. That's also not the best idea. We shall see. We then got another promo for the return of Lacey Evans, and let's hope this one lasts longer than some bread I've got in the fridge. When it was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler taking on Liv Morgan and Tegan Nox, like I say, you ain't gonna believe this, the good guys won. The whole idea was to get Tegan Nox over to a brand new audience as well, because she was just flying around the place during this, hitting as many moves as she possibly could. I mean, it was only a Ronda Rousey distraction that did calm her down when Liv Morgan was in there helping her tag team partner, when Shayna Baszler decided, well, why don't I just hit a German suplex? The gates. This is when Raquel Rodriguez all of a sudden decided, well, maybe I should run to the ring now, even though she could have done this at any point during the match. And poor Ronda Rousey. What did we think was going to happen with Ronda Rousey? I understand she's a human being, but she's also a wrestler, and no wrestler can handle some other individual being in their personal space, so she was totally distracted. Baszler was still going to finish this off with a Kirifuda clutch though, but after Morgan broke free, Tegan Nox ran in with the Shining Wizard, she smacked Shayna right in the face, and Morgan pinned her, and the ref went 1, I was like, no way. The ref went 2, and I was like, it's not gonna happen. And the ref went 3, and I think I died and came back to life, and I didn't see this coming. But it always does seem silly to beat Ronda and Shayna at this early stage, but I do totally get it. And now we've really lit a fire beneath Liv Morgan and beneath Tegan Nox, and they should probably go after the tag team titles, especially because the tag team titles seem to have vanished from TV. Either way, up. And then we ended the show with just some good old-fashioned warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum niceness. Sometimes that's okay. And of course, it was just Kurt Angle coming out to celebrate his birthday when he did get interrupted by the Alpha Academy, who were like, we don't like you, you piece of trash. You didn't invite us into the room where good things were happening. Just as Kurt pretended he was going to leave because Otis and Chad Gable were going to eat all the cake, he was like, well, you're going to need some milk with that. Out came Gable Steveson in the meat truck. They just used the white stuff, that sounded terrible, to shower them down. That sounded even worse. And SmackDown ended with the good guys standing tall. We also had a bunch of jokes about milk here. I didn't know Michael Cole had so many. But again, this is not going to tie into everything else. And I suppose it's good to shine that spotlight on Gable Steveson because we do want to push him to the moon. I was alright with this, and when I was done watching, it just made me feel like a happy panda. I don't want to be a sad panda up. Which does indeed bring us to the end of SmackDown, and once again I thought it was a decent show. SmackDown is always a decent show. I know I'm repeating myself, but you can see they're holding fire a little bit because of course we're waiting to get to the Royal Rumble, but I am giving it an up. Now please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Like the video, share the video and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com where you can read yourself some articles. Make sure you come follow us on social media, WhatCulture, WWE and Simon with a 316. We do have a lot of other videos, most of which are me standing up in front of a green screen, so you should go and watch them. My name is Simon WhatCulture. Thank you as always for supporting me in these endeavors, even when the ups and downs train never stops. See you soon.